So Nick, this is the character development episode.
No, it's the love episode. Welcome back to AsArt with Nick and John. We post 3 videos a week. Hit that subscribe button to stay updated to all of our boys content and deepfakes. And visit the deepfakes. Check it out, guys. And go to AsArt.space for all of our audio and video links and a new store we just opened up.
So the store's been open a little bit, haven't had too many items. We're starting to do kind of show-specific ones. Right now we're doing some nice leather coasters. This was
and
Homelander.
Shirts.
Yeah, shirts as well. So go ahead and check out AsArt.space, special on-location, in-person episode.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so Nick, this was a very different type of episode. There's not really the dark comedy that we're used to.
No.
There wasn't any surprise shots, but I really enjoyed it though. It was like maybe one of my favorite episodes as far as getting to know the characters.
Yes,
and some
totally
questions
is.
we had for quite a while and where their kind of characters were going to lead to.
Yeah, It was a great character development episode. Like, we got to see into Homelander's weird sexual desires.
A lot. Way
spoilers.
more than we wanted.
Spoilers warning.
Yeah,
Doppelganger's back. It was so funny because once I saw that scene, I'm like, is this the doppelganger? I was like, this can't be real.
So Nick was saying one thing he hates that happens is when they just bring back characters. You think they're dead, but not really. This happened, or that was a clone, or whatever, and then you see her back. And I love Elizabeth Shue as an actress. Like, she's been in a lot of good movies growing up, and like really great actress. But it was like, oh, she's back. Like, that took away the whole like emotional impact of the first season. But then, by the way, like once things started. I love the whole milk thing. That was hilarious.
Yes,
that made me laugh. Oh, so much milk in these.
So much milk. And we have Mother Milk's episode. It wasn't a Mother Milk's episode. We really got to see into his character and everything too, which was really cool.
Because he didn't really get too much of his past ever, and you just kind of knew he was bitter. Well, you got a little bit with his family, with his current family, but not his background.
Not like his reason for.
Yeah, his reason for, because Butcher's reason the whole time. You kind of got frenzy.
He's like a rebel kind of leader thing.
But for Mother's Milk, you never really understood his kind of reasoning. Really. Yeah. So it was kind of fun getting that, and they did it an interesting way where it's with Starlight, who he did not want to open up with.
Yeah,
so
it's
they
really
make
cool.
some really really fun ways that this whole story can go by now.
Yeah, it was like an awkward buddy cop, not like buddy cop adventure, but like
it was a road trip.
It was a road trip,
which I think was the episode might have been. Well, I think in the description for the Amazon episode, the boys go on a road trip. I think is what it said, and it really is kind of road trip. Yeah,
but like I guess only half the boys members.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's jump back to Homelander.
Yeah.
Because we start off with Homelander, his weird milk addiction, and then we see him going through a crisis because he thinks he needs to be loved by everyone.
And so many times throughout this episode, Nick and I keep saying, this guy is such a good actor.
Yes,
he's
he does
disgusting.
Such a good job.
He's scary. He's vulnerable.
Yes,
he goes through
awesome. It was such a good job.
You know what we have to do is after this season, we're gonna have to find other shows he's in and movies.
Oh,
because
that's a good idea.
I don't know him very well, visibly recognize him. But I mean, if he's anything like this, he has to be in some other good stuff. Yeah.
Continue on Homelander.
Yeah.
When he threatened Starlight in the elevator, that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like the whole episode, like the whole time. Like, for the rest of the episode, I kept saying, Homelander's going to come and kill him. Like, I said that for every circumstance.
For how tight security is supposed to be at where, Becca, is that her name? Where Becca's located, and for how much Homelander hears, and even what he let out on the elevator, to Queen Maeve, I heard this, I heard that.
Yeah.
You would think that their security would be a little bit tighter.
Yeah, and it was so weird, too, because, like when she went to go talk to Huey, Starlight, I thought, like, even the way the camera was framed when they were going, I'm like it's almost like we had the idea like they were being watched, and she was like afraid. But I thought for sure Homelander was just gonna sweep in, like every like moment. I'm like, John, I think Homelander's gonna come in. John, and you're no.
But do you think they kind of, because you have in most of the episodes, you get this feeling that they're living in fear and they're always being watched and like the Big Brother type of stuff. But if you're always on edge like that, you don't get the opportunities for the character development. Do you think they had to, this is a threat, but as from a directorial standpoint, storytelling standpoint, we just have to help the audience detach from that fear. Do you think that's
maybe
I mean,
that's
you
what,
still had that with Butcher and you know that, but then the security wasn't nearly as tight as she's like, I've never left.
Yeah.
I'm always under security. I have to show the lighter and the cigarette that I'm
she's
going
allowed
to
to
take a
go for a
smoke break.
smoke.
Yeah, which is weird.
But maybe she was being watched because I feel like they watch everything and they let things play out sometimes. Like
And
the whole thing with Homelander. Remember when Homelander came back? Like literally there was cameras everywhere, but they were letting it play out maybe to see if they can use it. Because maybe their most valuable asset is information on people.
Well, and
knowing their
they
weaknesses.
show where when, by the way, Black Noir, no lines. I still love the guy. Nick and I, we were watching the episode. I'm like, are we ever going to see who this is? I kind of almost don't want to at this point.
Yeah.
It's such a hilarious guy. But just sits down. 5 Red Bulls later, the girl finds out in the compound on the camera. So I guess it's like you have so many security cameras all across your entire empire that how are you going to be able to? Then again, if they can make superheroes, you think they could have face recognition
Or
running
better,
at all times.
right?
Yeah, you think they would have that going. So I don't know. But I thought they would, I don't know.
So is Huey and Starlight going to be a thing, you think? Or you think it's just going to be a continual tease
I kind
for
of
us?
felt like when I was thinking about it after the episode, I'm like, this is like the stupid Ross and Rachel friends thing where it's like they're back together for 5 minutes and then they're not together. I mean,
Right.
It kind of makes sense in this context better because they are they physically, cannot be in the same space for too long, and it is a danger if they're just trying. But then again, them just meeting up the way they've been the last few episodes,
Yeah,
that
very
seems
casual.
just as dangerous. Again, if it's secure, if this company is such high end and they're tapped into so many things, if they can smuggle Compound V all over the world, you would think that they could be able to tap in and monitor.
You would think.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just turning a blind eye to see how things play out.
Could it be that, or it could just be for story purposes. We just need to let this develop.
That's true, because the whole reason why she comes on this road trip, because we find out who this Liberty girl is, right?
Yeah.
Liberty is Stormfront, and Liberty's supposed to be like World War II era hero, and yet she's young and hip.
Which is going to be a very big story plot.
And also
line.
she's
Obviously, it
racist.
dropped.
Like clearly she's racist. Like, the whole beating up the thing, and then so it's like, is she a member of the company? Is she like a head and she's trying to control Homelander and all this other? It was a lot of interesting points that went out this episode, right? Like they touched a little bit on the group.
Yeah.
Homelander outs Maeve publicly, which was kind
is
of
a big thing. That was a
messed up,
very
man.
short. Well, I mean, I don't think Queen Maeve. What's her real name? I forgot her real name in
the
the
actress's
show.
name. I don't
No,
remember.
the actress. Like what before she was Queen Maeve in the Seven. Like what
Oh,
her
I
name
don't know.
was.
I just know
But
her as Queen Maeve.
I don't think she would have really cared. But she was just always so worried about Homelander finding out, right? So I don't think it was so much that. But
It's not fun to be outed, though.
no, yeah. But I mean, as far as like storytelling wise, that sets up. That was a short beat that's probably going to play out a lot more over the next couple of episodes, I would imagine.
So he claimed they had diversity because they had A-Train,
A-Train,
who he just
he's
kicked off
kicked
the
out,
team.
yeah. So I wonder if he's gonna be brought back again,
Black
yeah.
Noir. They said, we don't know what his
And
race
he goes,
is.
and Black Noir, and Nick and I just both immediately started laughing.
He's like,
and he's
I can't believe he said that.
And he's, well, we don't know.
He could
I
be
thought that was
anything or something like that. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
what the heck?
Yeah.
And then what's interesting, you start to see, like, when they were in the South, you had Homelander with the Confederate flag
Oh, yes,
instead
I
of the
forgot about
American
that,
flag.
yeah.
So it's like these subtle little,
I forgot
like,
about that,
like
yeah.
what's
Nick pointed
the
out.
what's the meanings the writers are going for, maybe, because
Yeah.
it's kind of like Watchmen, right? Watchmen kind of started off with that kind of vibe and stuff like that. So I wonder if this is just like I don't know if it's like a side beat or they're going to go with it, but I'll be really interested to see where it goes, because it could play out in the right way, because this could be motivation for A-Train to hop on the good train to help, you know what I mean, to help everyone out, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks like he's
just
really
as
pushed,
easily
right?
they could just, without announcing it, bring him back into the Seven just because that Homelander wants to keep
And that's
that
a
popularity.
very relevant thing that companies would do, probably, right?
Oh, yeah,
for
for sure,
PR
yeah.
and stuff, which I really like about this show is like when she talks about how like memes are more valuable and like the army, like it was really true what she was saying when it came to social media stuff, when she was talking to Homelander, when Starfront was talking to Homelander about like what really counts, like fans compared to like an army of people that really support her for the cause and stuff. But dude, who is she really?
Yeah, so
what are her motives? Like, I'm so like, what the heck?
It's going to make for a really interesting. I mean, because we already have all these character stories going on right now, and then we have this wild card that's thrown in the mix that's been gone for years. That one, they didn't introduce until season 2, even hints of it.
Yeah,
and then 2, all of a sudden we find out that she's, doing the Benjamin Button thing. She used to be, older, and now she's younger. And we still have to remember that the company, Vought, right? Vought brought her in.
Yeah.
And so what is her plan? Because right now it seems like she is bashing the company all over the place, but yet they brought her in. So how does that fit into the...
She might be doing that for a reason, because maybe it's a way for her to even take over the company. Maybe she's fighting for power, for leadership of the board or something like that. Because if she is like one of the original heroes... And, maybe she grew up, or maybe she helped form the company.
Oh, and then she got kicked. Because they kind of seem like at some point the company makes a choice, you're going to be cycled out, right? Yeah. So is that what you're saying?
So maybe something like that, or she's competing to be the head of the company, and she's trying to find a way to...
So did they have the 7 before Homelander? Because Homelander says, I made the 7, but yet she's been around. It's funny, they say that he's like the successful experiment, and yet she's been around way longer. I'm kind of confused a little bit. And so was that before Compound V? Is she like a legit superhero somehow? Or?
And I don't understand her powers. I really am
you mean just
baffled.
Stormfront in general?
Yeah, Stormfront in general. Because
Nick goes, now she can fly?
I mean, last episode she was like moving people around, like throwing people, and now she's able to like fly. I'm like, does lightning really work like that? I'm not a physicist. I don't know if this is the right word.
But aside from that, superheroes are totally real, you guys. So that's exactly what you should be focusing on.
The rest of the video should be talking about Stormfront's powers.
I mean, do you think they have room for it to really develop that story? I mean, obviously, if they put it in there, you would think they would. But
how many seasons they're going for too?
Yeah, it's true.
Like how long they're trying to space this thing out for? Because maybe the first season they're like, hey, we don't know if it's going to get picked up.
How many comics they had?
I don't know.
I mean, not that they're going to be following the comics anyway, but the books.
But I don't know. They're probably going to try milking it, just like how HBO wants. Wants to do Watchmen still, you know what I mean? Because they had such great reviews and stuff.
Or Game of Thrones, they wanted it to be 10 seasons, but the showrunner or the directors are like,
and I kind of wish HBO won that battle.
We're gonna get sidetracked.
I can watch Game of Thrones forever if I really want to.
Nick complained a lot about what he was watching near the end. I mean, so that's the thing is like, do you keep it going until it's almost past expiration date as far as content, or do you end on a high note like Breaking Bad, Jerry, where you have the arc, and once the arc is finished, you stop the show there? I mean, obviously we're only in season 2, so they still have plenty of good stories to go through here.
Talk about good stories. I think the strongest story of this episode was Mother's Milk's story. I mean, we really got to see into his character development, because we just knew him as like a fatherly figure and stuff. But we got to see him as like a mentor. He was like was like the wise old man of the group. He had like all these great stories, like the 31 flavors.
That was hilarious.
He would get every single flavor in the line. But like, it was like, oh, cool, that's good. And then like he told his backstory with the lawyer, and his dad was a lawyer, and he got in.
And his concern about passing down that illness that he calls it to his family as well. I mean, do you think the OCD thing is going to, I mean, that was an interesting beat that they pointed out, but story relevance in this episode didn't really make sense.
I haven't noticed it in season 1.
I mean, do you think what was the significance of that in this episode? Was there significance, like aside from her mentioning it? I mean, was there anything?
Maybe it's the idea of what she mentioned, like he doesn't have control, like he's almost following in his father's footsteps.
He does things involuntarily.
So like he's trying to control what he can control, maybe.
Okay, that could be.
It could be. I mean, that's exactly what Starlight said. So wasn't my own originally. That's just what I'm grasping from the episode.
So what do you think about Becca? And because I mean, this is really what the whole story, as far as Butcher has the whole first season.
That was his motive
up until this moment in this episode was his whole motive for going on the whole time. I mean, what do you think that? I mean, what do you think is going to happen with that? That's very.
I don't know. Maybe his new motive is to kill the kid. Is he going to turn bad? Like, because he obviously, if any reason, it's almost like what she said. You would find a way to get rid of him, where it made it look like it's not your fault or whatever. So maybe that's like his plan now is to.
But then his point of, well, he's a $50 billion experimental asset. They're gonna find him no matter what. So I mean,
but Beck is attached to the.
Yeah,
kid.
I mean,
That's your
clearly
son.
he wasn't being upfront with her, but at the same time, if you search for someone for so many years and all it seems like his sole purpose in life is to be happy with her. It makes sense with his character, but at the same time, it seems like he's looking at it from a realistic standpoint. Like we're not going to be able to get away with the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, well, if their security is as good as it is in this episode, maybe they would be able to.
Well, I mean, it wasn't until she notified them.
Yeah.
And then was that scene when he was flipping off the camera? Was that from the bridge, or was that like a past scene?
I think that was a bridge.
Okay,
so it's like, why would he bother to flip off the camera?
Well, he has to. What's his name? Has to be able to find him. Black Noir.
No, I mean, but I mean, do you flip off every camera you go by, or like I just didn't.
He's
really
really
make
pissed
sense.
right now.
Yeah. Which, by the way, my wife and I were watching The Two Towers just yesterday, and I'm like, oh, the butcher. I wish he was the butcher in Lord of the Rings. He would have just gone up and kicked Sauron right in the nuts,
Yeah.
But what a diverse actor, because I hadn't really seen him in too much. I know he's been around in a lot of stuff.
I've really only known him from
Lord
Lord of the Rings,
yeah.
and I think he was a bad guy in the Bourne series. I think he was one of the assassins.
Oh, that's right.
After,
that's right. I think he was. I think he was in the Bourne series. Yeah, but good actor, man. Good actor as
I
well.
like him. I like him a lot. Butcher is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he's a good.
He really is. I mean, I feel like
much-
stuff happens when he's on.
Not
screen.
much comedy from him in this episode. I mean, it was a very serious episode for him. It was really a more serious character development episode overall. Like there was some jokes, and the whole 31 Flavors was probably my favorite comedic scene in the whole
But
thing.
it was also a good story too.
Yeah,
like
that
it
was
had
a
like
good
it
story.
had
Yeah.
like good like every story he had. He wasn't his screen time wasn't wasted.
No, not at all.
At all.
Yeah.
Now let's close with the most interesting part. Homelander doing Homelander.
I'm gonna still talk about the Deep a little bit too, but we'll do Homelander.
Oh, yeah, wait, I'm sorry. Yes.
right,
We'll end with the Deep because the
Okay.
Deep's his favorite character. Homelander doing Homelander.
Yeah. Homelander.
Do you think he was into it at first? Homelander.
The doppelganger?
Yeah. Do you
Oh,
think he
yeah.
was okay?
He was totally it. I mean, with the whole milk thing, would you like some milk? He makes that face. I'm just like, like I get so grossed out.
No, I'm talking about the second time though. When he saw himself, do you think he was into that?
Oh, I think when doppelganger turned into Homelander, I think he
was for a
into
second,
it
but
for
then
a second.
when he started to say the wrong things, they
Well,
maybe
or it's
clicked
just,
him out.
I mean, so the interesting thing about Liberty.
Getting really deep into Homelander's brain.
The interesting thing about Stormfront / Liberty is that how much does she know? Has she always been in the forefront, in the background? It's like if she's been around and somehow connected to the company, maybe she knows about Homelander's insecurity. Because it almost felt like she fed him every insecurity that he had.
But it's almost obvious to everyone at the company.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Everyone knows how insecure he is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But her feeding him that is almost like an Inception. Almost, it's like now
feeding the fire, the flame.
Now it's like
Blowing up
now
the
I can't.
problem.
But yeah, it seemed like he was into it at first. I was like, Homelander is the most awkward, weird character, but he still delivers some of the most sincere and then comedic lines of the whole series. That guy is a acting marvel right now, at least in this series.
He's one of the best for sure in the show.
He's got his character down for sure. Yeah.
All right, you could talk about your Deep.
The whole episode, Nick and I would be like, what are these random ass cuts to just people talking about love and relationships?
It would throw me off.
Which is funny because it really does feed in even more into this overarching episode.
It was all about relationships.
It was the relationship episode. And
The love
what is a
episode.
relationship? What is this? What is that? And then at the end, having not seen the Deep the entire time, all of a sudden he's
I did
doing
not see that
interviews.
coming,
No,
to
I mean,
honest
I don't
with you.
think. Do you think anybody could have seen that coming? That was just such a random thing.
I bet there's people out there. If
Oh, you think so?
you're one of the people, comment down below if you're still watching at this point.
That'd be funny. But it's funny, he's still in this. So at the last episode, we were curious, was he still going to stick with this organization after he was kind of...
Yeah, he's going deep with it.
But, he was kind of humiliated by Homelander. And so either now he's still with... It sounds like he's with this group, this church group or whatever, because he wants to get back on the Seven.
Yeah.
But at the same time, is he there still because it's making him feel better about himself? But I just thought it was hilarious because you had all these interviews. You didn't know how he was reacting to all of them except for the last girl, which was hilarious. He's like that's her. Her, yeah. And they're like, no, your wife is. He goes,
the seven.
but I thought I was choosing. You are, and you choose her.
Oh, gosh.
He's like, ah.
He's like so perfect for a cult, isn't he?
Yeah,
like
he
his
is.
mindset. He just like, well, he'll drink the Kool-Aid all the way.
Man.
Poor
But
Deep.
again, barely any on, and it's the writer. I mean, he's a great actor, and we have to say that about Homelander too. They're great actors, but the lines that are being written for them and their character arcs, the writers are doing a great deal here.
they are.
But how long is the Deep on screen? Hardly at all. Yet hilarious.
John's
in this
favorite
season.
character.
John's favorite character. And Huey. Well, I like Huey when he's reacting to like when the girl's head popped and he's like, I like
It was
that.
fun with the song with Reagan and stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty funny too. He's like,
Got
this
to-
is not a, I forgot what he was saying. This is not a camp or something.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
everybody's-
I am not your guardian. Not guardian. What is it called when you go on dates?
A chaperone.
Chaperone,
Not
yeah.
a chaperone. Yeah. You know what? I have to say, maybe the all-star character of this episode was Mother's Milk. Probably.
I mean that, and obviously I'm
You
going to say
got
it
some-
again. Homelander.
Yeah, and you got some good screen time with Butcher. I mean, how is it going to be disappointing when you get to a person's goal? Are they going to be able to deliver, kind of in the acting what that character's
Yeah,
for? But he
I'll be
did,
really
he did.
curious what his motives are going to be now. If you guys know, comment down
Yeah,
below
if
what
you
you
have
think
some
their
ideas,
motives
if
are
you
going
have
to be.
ideas about, I mean, do you feel like they're just messing with us with the whole Starlight Huey? Because that's really what it feels
Yeah.
like. It's just like they're going to get strung along for that whole thing. It's
Yeah.
like a Rachel, whatever.
You and your
Ross thing.
friends references.
Well,
I'm joking.
they got me through grad school. When I needed to laugh, they made me laugh. But there's that, and then what is Butcher's kind of motivation going to be from here now? Is he, and maybe for the next few episodes, even what is he going to be? Is he just going to fall off the grid like he doesn't really care right now? Because
Like
he's
spiraled like into alcoholism or something.
well, I
like
mean,
that.
not even that. It's like,
Or like
okay,
rage
is he
and
going to have to
vengeance.
find a new motivation?
Is he just going to start killing soups to ease his pain?
Well, I personally
he could
think,
go dark.
I personally think his thing is going to be he's going to come around to finding that soups aren't all bad.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Mother's
You
Milk
think
is in this
Starlight's
episode.
going to be the
Maybe
way in because
Could be.
or the female character?
Maybe. So
That
so-
was one of the weirdest storylines, though. I feel like this
The girl,
episode.
yeah.
Female and Frenchie.
yes. Now, do we have a name for her? We don't have a name for her.
It she is her name is the female. That's what
female?
they call
Okay,
her. As
that's
their
what- okay,
superhero.
uh-huh.
Because they don't know her name because she can't talk.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously they need to delve into this more, but I actually thought for a second Stormfront's whole thing of speaking out in public was just to get her to come to her, and she was going to use that. See, the terrorists are among us everywhere, but that didn't happen. That was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
thing.
I do think she's going to kill Stormfront.
Yeah, I
though.
mean, she has to. As far as a story standpoint,
I hope
I
so.
can't think of any other way.
It's
to do
either
it.
going to be her or Homelander. Homelander kills everyone. So yeah, guys, we've been doing all the episodes. We're going to do the next one next week on Friday. We'll do our best to get out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Happen to be working this weekend in Colorado, and John lives in Colorado, so
Worked out well.
I was able to join him. First
Yeah.
time us actually being in the same space the whole time. I don't know if you guys knew this. He's in Colorado, I'm in California, so like we were doing magical editing.
Not really magical. We were editing, but yeah. All right, guys. So we were rambling, but let us know your thoughts, especially the next few episodes. It's going to be really interesting to try and figure out the character arcs, especially after this get back together and break up episode, pretty much. So let us know your thoughts. Check out AsArt.space for all the audio and video and merchandise links, and we will see you on the next AsArt.